Joining us now is the actor, writer, producer, comedian. He's Nick Kroll. Second season of Big Mouth. That's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it premieres this Friday. A lot of slashes there. Actor, writer, producer, comedian, Nick.
I know. It's almost as if
Why don't you settle on something?
Tell my ego that.
If you had to do one.
Yeah. Oof. I think it would be a guest on the Dan Patrick Show. I think that would be the play, right?
Well done.
Right?
By the way, you've been in The League,
Yeah.
Sausage Party, Adult Beginners. You were in Uncle Drew. You were great in Uncle Drew.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you were.
Thanks.
It was a lot of fun.
It's so fun. I mean, I got to hang out with Shaq.
What was that like? Okay, so you get cast. Set the scene. So you get the call.
I get a call incoming saying they're making this movie of Uncle Drew starring Kyrie Irving as his character from the Pepsi internet videos. And I had seen those videos. I thought they were super funny. I remember seeing that when it first came out, not knowing who Kyrie was and just being like, this is funny. I can't believe this guy's a professional basketball player. And then started watching Kyrie and I was like, oh, this is a very good professional basketball player who also is equally funny. And then they were like, and it's going to be Shaq and Chris Webber and Kyrie and Reggie Miller and Lisa Leslie, and I was like, I'm in. I wanted to hang out. I mean, I was like, Shaq is straight up hilarious, dude. Again, I don't care whether he's a pro basketball player or a human being that's been scaled up 25%.
But you're the cockiest guy on the floor.
I am.
And for no reason.
None. Truly no good reason. Truly no good reason. And but that was the fun of it, you know. And I was a big Knick fan growing up. I was at those games. I was at the game when Reggie lit up the Knicks with Spike Lee in the crowd. That move.
The choking move.
And then also, people don't talk about it. He pulled another move. He didn't go up, he went down. But I was at that game, and so to be on the sidelines talking smack against Reggie Miller, who was missing threes, I was like, there's nothing better. There's nothing better for a guy like me. So I had a blast. It was so fun.
But you also had Kyrie find out he got traded while you're shooting the movie.
Yeah, it was really wild. It was like, you're just, to be at a moment in time, it was like almost this time last year. It was like a few weeks earlier than this. To be around a guy who was at the center of the basketball universe, and to see kind of how he handled it, but to be working with him, a guy who was just gotten traded, the biggest trade in in quite a number of years in basketball, and then have him come right back to set, get right back to acting, and be kind of a gentleman through the whole thing. It was, for me, it was a blast.
What do you think of sports as a theme for a comedy, or for movies?
I love it. I love.
Because you have to have authenticity with sports, where you can't have a guy like John Goodman playing Babe Ruth. Didn't work out well. It didn't. Yeah. He didn't look legitimate.
They should have spent more time on the hot dog eating. I think that might have, if there had been a little more of that. It's tricky. I mean, that's the beauty of having those guys. The fact that you could have Kyrie on the floor, and Nate Robinson, guys who are still, and all those guys. And then you have to hopefully I don't ruin the movie. But I did score. Kyrie tried to block my shot and I scored. And I was pretty psyched about that. And then,
do you have video of that?
Yeah, there's video on it. If you go to the outtakes, you can find video of it. It's in the outtakes of the movie. And then I come back and I try to D him up. There's video of that because it's in the trailer to show the footage they have of let's watch Kyrie just work somebody. That's me later and so anyway. But it was the most fun thing in the world. But I think those movies, I don't know what it is about. There's a movie called A Knight's Tale, Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite sports underdog movies because it's about a jousting.
Yeah.
But it's the same. There's just something.
We don't include that. Now, is that the best jousting movie of all time?
I'm going to check Rotten Tomatoes. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's I love it.
I didn't think of that as a sports movie.
I think of it, it's that classic sort of underdog, dude movie. And it's just but I think it's that when you're trying to tell the story of a movie, there's something about that underdog sports movie that just works perfectly for that journey.
But didn't you just finish Olympic Dreams?
Yes. I made a movie at the Olympics with Jeremy Teicher and Alexi Pappas. Alexi is a Summer Olympian. She ran the 10K in Brazil, in Rio, and I think is going to run the marathon in Tokyo. and they got a grant from the Olympic Committee to make a movie inside of the Olympics in Pyeongchang. So the three of us spent like 3 weeks inside of the Olympics, in the athletes' village, in the medical center, in the dining hall, the gyms, everywhere. We kind of had free range to go wherever we wanted.
So this is serious. This isn't a mockumentary or...
No, I mean, there's some comedy in there, but it's like a real kind of movie about what it's like, because Alexi has experienced that as an Olympian, what it's like to be inside of the Olympics, to go to the Olympic Games and be one of the best in the world, and then show up and maybe, you know, place 30th out of 100th, and what that feeling is like for so many Olympians, which is you're the best in your country, you're the best person from your town ever, and then you show up at the Olympics and you're like, what happens now? And we got to hang out with all the skiers and meet all the, you know, snowboarders and all that stuff. I don't know when it'll come out, but it was a cool experience.
He's Nick Kroll. The second season of Big Mouth on Netflix premieres this Friday. Big Mouth is about teenage friends upended by the wonders and horrors of puberty. It's a edgy animated comedy. Andrew Goldberg is in this.
Yeah, he co-created it with me, and John Mulaney co-stars with me.
Yeah.
And it's me, John Mulaney, Jason Mantzoukas, who I was on the league with, my friend Jenny Slate, Jesse Klein, Fred Armisen, Maya Rudolph. Jordan Peele plays the ghost of Duke Ellington, who haunts my house. You know.
What do people say to you on the street? What do you get?
I get all types of things. Right now, I'm getting a lot of Big Mouth, which is nice. People are psyched for the second season. But people scream douche at me a lot. I'm not sure if it's because I've played a douche twice or they just don't like me. But I get that a lot. I played a character named the Douche on Parks and Recreation. He's a morning radio DJ called Crazy Iron the Douche. And then in the movie Sausage Party, I play a literal douche. Everybody is a supermarket product. Mine was a physical douche, the feminine hygiene product.
Yeah, we're well aware of what. What that is.
I don't know.
Are you being typecast as a douche?
I am. I'm. It's possible. You know what? There are worse things in the world. Someone said this to me early on in my career. There are worse things in the world than getting typecast because it means that you're working.
Okay.
So, I guess I'll take what I can get, no matter what that means.
Our fans wanted to know about the league. When we put out our guest list, they wanted to know. They assume you know what you're talking about on the league. I
did when we were shooting the league. I was much more up day to day on what was happening in football. We had a league inside of the league, like we had our fantasy league going, and I was pretty good at it. And I definitely was like a tinkerer. Like my guy on the league was Ruxin, and he was always tinkering with his lineup. We created a thing called the Tinker Stinker. It's that Sunday morning, depending on where you live, you get on the toilet around 9 a.m. and you do your final last tweaks to ruin your lineup. And that was ripped straight from the headlines.
Who came up with the league?
Meaning who was on that show with me?
Who came up with the idea?
Jeff and Jackie Schaefer. Jeff Schaefer,
very talented,
talented dude who had been a writer on and showrunner on Seinfeld eventually, and has been a writer and director on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So he and his wife Jackie came up with the show, and then put together that cast, and it was sort of using the format of what they did on Curb Your Enthusiasm, very loosely scripted, kind of big bits, big ideas, and we had a blast. I think it had been offline. I think the league has just gone onto Hulu, so if people have been itching to find it, they can go onto Hulu and watch it and see me be one of the worst human beings.
And you take great pride in that.
I do. There's a lot of, my character always thought there was collusion. So the last 2 years has been like a lot of people tweeting me screaming collusion and gifs at me. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Did you ever audition for Saturday Night Live?
I did.
Because you grew up in Westchester.
I grew up in the suburbs of the city. It was in Rye, New York, tough streets in Rye, New York.
Wow, how did you get out of Rye?
I, by hook or crook, I got out of there. But I used to go watch the Rangers practice. The Rangers always practice in Rye, and the Knicks practice in SUNY Purchase. But it was always kind of my dream to be on SNL. I finally got to audition, and right before I went out there, that one of the stagehands guys looked at me and goes, are you going to play John Lovitz? And I said, I'm going to play Lyle. I'm going to play the love child of Lyle Lovitz and Lyle Lovett and John Lovitz. And then he goes, save it for the stage. And I was like, okay, thanks, man. I guess I'll go up on. And then I went up on stage and performed. It went okay. Is
the room silent?
It's pretty quiet. And I get out there and Lorne Michaels was sort of like, they're in the bathroom. And I was like, what? They're outside. And I go, what? He goes, they're outside. I go, are they out there talking about how great I am? And he was like, no. And I was like, all right, man. Yeah. But it all worked out as it was supposed to. I think I ended up on the league the next year, and I auditioned the same year as John Mulaney and Jordan Peele. John got hired as a writer there. Jordan has gone on to do nothing. He's done very little. Jordan and I actually, so we both created our sketch shows similar times. And there's a sketch actually that's online of Jordan and I both playing refs, basketball refs. That is, I did this character, Ref Jeff, who was kind of a ref who just wanted to hang out with the players. And Jordan had his version of it. And so, it all worked out.
And you're here today.
And here I am at the Dan Patrick Show.
Best stand-up act you ever saw?
Whew. Well, I came up with a bunch of funny people. I would, but I'm trying to think. I mean, right now, obviously Mulaney's high up there. I'd say Ali Wong. If you haven't seen Ali Wong stand up, go check her out on Netflix. I think she's doing it just about as well as anyone right now.
Who would you not want to follow?
Oh, man.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, I mean, I think it would have been pretty hard to follow. I mean, you look at those Eddie Murphy Delirious era. I mean, I don't even know if he was doing spots. I think he just came off and just popped out like a monster. I mean, when I first started, Zach Galifianakis was. He was the guy who I think we were all like, this guy's the funniest guy. We were talking before we started here. It's it takes a while for people to discover people. So there was about 10 years where we all knew that Zach was the funniest guy. And then he gets in The Hangover and everybody's like, oh, that dude's so funny. But we're, John Mulaney's the same way. I went to college with John. I always knew he was the funniest guy. And it's taken everybody a little while to realize how funny he is.
What did you go to Georgetown to study?
I studied, I was a history major and an art and Spanish minor, but I found improv in college. I met buddies like Mike Birbiglia there. He's got a new show on Broadway coming out this October. John Mulaney, and a bunch of other incredibly funny, smart people. I really found comedy there. I happened to be at Georgetown just at that sweet spot after Iverson, before Roy Hibbert, before it was in that sweet spot where they could barely get into the NIT. But I went to John Thompson basketball camp when I was a kid. So I was there when I went to basketball camp there when Mourning and Mutombo were kind of right around there. And I was just like, one day I'm going to be a center for the Georgetown basketball team, following that big man tradition. It didn't work out.
It didn't.
Here we are, though.
And once again, we're happy that you're here with us.
I think it all worked out as it was supposed to.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
It is season 2, Big Mouth, on Netflix, premieres this Friday. He's actor / writer / producer / comedian
/ guest on the Dan Patrick Show.
He's Nick Kroll.
Thanks, guys.
Could you put that on his IMDb?
It's already up.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, it's good to visit with you.
Thank you.
Congrats on your success.
Thank you.
And good luck with season 2 of Big Mouth on Netflix. Premieres this Friday.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.